Okay guys, so we are making a video here for the third page of the practice final. We're going to go through each one of these. Number 19 says solve the equation and check your solution. So this is going back to the first part of Algebra 1 where we're solving equations. And this is obviously a multi-step equation. What do we know about equations? There's an equal sign in it. And there's two sides to the equal sign. There's a left side and the right side. And the way to solve equations would be to simplify each side first. That's step one, to simplify each side first. So what does simplify mean? It means distributive property and combining like terms. So what I want to do is I want to cover up the right side for a little while. And I want to focus in on the left side, and I want to simplify it. So I want to distribute 7 times b is 7b. Then 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Then I want to bring down the plus 3. So I've distributed. Now I still need to combine like terms. So I want to do the minus 14 plus 3, and that gives us a negative 11. So what I have here is 7b minus 11. That's the simplified left side of the equation. So what I want to do now, there's nothing else to do on the left side. So I need to simplify the right side. So on the right side we have all that stuff. So let's distribute and combine like terms also. So I'm going to go 9 times b, that's 9b. We have 9 times 2, that's 18. Then let's bring down the minus 2b and bring down the minus 29. Now from there, we still need to combine like terms. So I'm going to combine the 9b with the negative 2b. And because it's on the same side of the equal sign, I just do this in my head. 9b take away 2b is 7b. So I want to write that down, 7b. And then I have the positive 18 and the negative 29. And if I do that in my head, I get negative 11, correct? So the equal sign just comes down, and we really have the left side that got completely simplified, the right side that got completely simplified. Now at this point you could stop solving your equation because the left side is completely identical to the right side. What does that mean? That means that b equals all real numbers, or that there's infinitely many solutions, okay? So whenever you end up with something identical on both sides, it means that there's an infinitely many solutions. So the answer is that there's infinitely many solutions, or you could say b equals all real numbers, because technically you could plug in any number you want for b and it'll be a true statement. Now let's say you didn't see that yet. Let's say you wanted to keep solving, like you have a b on this side, a b on that side. Let's say you wanted to get rid of the 7b, so you subtract 7b. 7b take away 7b is 0. And what you do to one side, do to the other side. 7b take away 7b is 0. You end up with negative 11 equals negative 11. That's always true, which again means that there's an infinite amount of answers, infinitely many solutions, or that your variable equals all real numbers. It could be any number you want. So when it's always true, it's infinitely many solutions. Now let's say I'd be working out a problem and I end up with something that's impossible. Like let's say on the left side, let's say you ended up with the positive 12 right there. So let's say you ended up with positive 12 equals negative 11. Then you would say what? If you ended up with that? No solution. You would say no solution right there. Okay, so there will be those types of questions on the final. That's why there's these types of questions on the practice final. So in this case, it wasn't no solution because we ended up with something that's always true, and that's when you say infinitely many solutions. Or you could say all real numbers. Okay, but when it's impossible, like negative 11 equals 12, then you say no solution. Let's move on to the next question. Number 20, solve that equation. So you want to get k by itself. What do? Multiply by what? 9. There you go. Multiply by 9, multiply by 9. The 9s cancel out. So you have negative 4k equals negative 324, which we did do on a calculator. So, of course, you could use calculators on the final. Final step would be to divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. Divide by 4, negative 4 on the calculator. It does give you a positive 81. So K equals 81. That's your answer for number 20. Let's move on to number 21. Solve the inequality. Remember, solving an inequality is exactly the same as solving an equation. All you have to do is get the W by itself on one side. The only difference is that if you ever multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality symbol. So we want to get W by itself. So I need to get rid of this plus 15. What do I do? Minus 15, okay? So I'll go minus 15 here. And what you do to one side, do to the other side. Minus 15 over here. So if you owe $17 and you owe $15 more, you're going to owe a lot. You're going to owe $32. Now you still have the less than and the W on the right side. You did not flip the inequality because you didn't divide by a negative. You subtracted 15. You only flip the inequality when you multiply or divide by a negative. So this is your answer, but you're not going to see this answer on the multiple choice, on the final itself, because you're always going to write the variable first and the number on the right side. So if I did put my W on the left side and the negative 32 on the right side, what symbol belongs between the W and the negative 32? The greater than symbol, right? Now, it's not that it flipped, it's that I actually switched the W over here and the negative 2 over there. And if it opened up to the W right here, then it has to continue opening up to the W over here. So there's your answer. W is greater than negative 32, and that's the answer number 21. Let's move on. Number 22. Right here they want us to solve, and we want to solve for a specific variable. There's two variables, as you can see. There's an A and there's a B. A, so they want us to solve for B. That means we need to get B by itself on one side of the equal sign. So I have B right here. I need to get it by itself. So what do I get rid of? The 4A. So I'm going to go plus 4A to get rid of that minus 4A. That'll cancel out. What you do to one side, do to the other. So add 4A over here. And that will be 8A equals 8B. Wow, this is kind of weird. Anyway, I still need to get B by itself. So what do I do? Divide by 8. Divide by 8. So B equals A. B equals A. So it says solve for B. B equals A.
That makes no sense.
Let's move on to number 23. Looking at 23 up here, it's an evaluation problem. And what does it mean to evaluate? To evaluate your variable expression means to plug it in. Plug it in and then simplify. So what are we plugging in? It says right here that F equals negative 3 and that G equals 2. So we're going to take the F value of negative 3 and we're going to put it right there where the F is at. And we're going to take the G value of 2 and put it right there where the G is at. So we're going to rewrite this whole thing. Absolute value of 4, but instead of F, what am I putting in place of F? Negative 3, thank you. And then you have minus 3G, but instead of G, what am I putting in there? 2, thank you. And we still have the absolute values. And we still have the plus 7 on the outside. So we still need to simplify it on top of plugging it in. We already plugged it in, now we just need to simplify. So what would the next step be? You look at the inside of the absolute values, right? And on the inside of the absolute values, what do? Multiply. We're going to multiply the 4 times negative 3, and then that's negative 12. Okay, so I have negative 12 right here. And then I'm also going to multiply the 3 times 2. And you see this minus sign, I'm just going to bring it down and put it right there. But what's 3 times 2? 6. So the minus sign, you could call it a negative 6 if you want, or you could just say minus 6. But either way, it's still inside the absolute values. So we really do have a negative 12 minus 6. What's negative 12 minus 6? That is negative 18. Negative 18. And you still have the plus 7 on the outside. So what is the absolute value of negative 18? Positive 18. So you really have positive 18 plus 7. And what's positive 18 plus 7? 25. 25 is your final answer, guys. Moving on to number 24, evaluate. That's just saying to use PEMDAS to be able to simplify. So are there any parentheses?
Yes.
Yes. So what are we going to do? Zoom in and do what's inside the parentheses, right? So inside the parentheses, we're going to be doing, there's two things to do. There's subtraction and there's exponents. What do we do first? Exponents. Now, if you're wondering, how do I know what to do first? You get it from here. PEMDAS. That's the correct order of operations. Again, P is parentheses, E is exponents, M and D are both blue. They're both multiplication and division, and whatever comes first, you go from left to right. And addition and subtraction are the very last two. And those go left to right also because they're worth the same. So inside we have subtraction and exponents. Obviously, we're going to do exponents before subtraction. So when you do the exponents, what is 3 to the third power? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So ladies and gentlemen, let me bring down the parenthesis again, bring down the 25, bring down the minus sign, and let me write down 27 instead of 3 to the third. Now, let me rewrite everything actually. So I still have the 4 on the outside, I still have the plus 16 over here, and then the divided by, and we still have the, what is that, a 2 at the very end. So I still have a 2 out here. So far, all I've done inside the parentheses is this exponent. Now, still on the inside of the parentheses, I'm going to do the subtraction. So what is 25 take away 27? That's negative 2. So far, my parenthesis is going to have a negative 2 in there. And let me rewrite the rest. There's going to be a 4 in front. There's going to be a plus 16 and a divided by 2. So now we're faced with multiplication, addition, or division. What do I do first? Multiplication, addition, or division. Multiplication, right? And sometimes division could come first. It all depends what comes first from left to right. But from left to right, I have multiplication first before division. So I am going to multiply first. 4 times negative 2. What is 4 times negative 2? Negative 8. And then let me rewrite everything. I still have the plus 16 divided by 2. So what do I do next? Do I actually add negative 8 plus 16 and get 8, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4? Is that my final answer? No. So what do I do next instead of... Divide. So we're going to divide 16 divided by 2, right? 16 divided by 2, that is 8. So I really have a negative 8 and the plus sign 8. What is negative 8 plus 8? Cero. Cero entero. All right. Shouldn't have said that. I'm recording. Sorry. So that was number 24. Let's move on to number 25. 25 is pretty much the same type of problem. All you have to do is plug it in and simplify, right? So what I would recommend doing when you plug in is to plug in with parentheses first. So I like to rewrite, instead of a squared, I like writing parentheses squared. Instead of plus ab, plus parentheses times parentheses, because after all, that's what's happening between the a and the b. You're multiplying. And then at the very end, minus, and then parentheses for the c value. So I like to do parentheses first, and then I like to plug in my values. So my a value is 3. So I want to plug in the 3 right into the A position and right into the A position right there. So there's a 3 in there. Let me color coordinate here. The 3 is going in as blue, 3 right there, and 3 right there. And now the B value is 4. So the B is a 4. And the C value is negative 1. So I put the negative 1 right in there where the C value is at. So now we could actually focus in and simplify this according to PEMDAS. So are there parentheses? Yes, there's parentheses, but there's nothing to do inside the parentheses. So you move on to E, exponents. And there is an exponent, 3 squared. What's 3 squared? It's 6, right? 6? Wrong, it's not 6. What is it? It's 9. Okay, so let's go 3 squared, that's 9. Let's rewrite everything. Plus 3 times 4. Minus is really plus 1. So I've done exponents. After that, we have addition, multiplication, or addition. Obviously, you're going to multiply before adding. So we're going to add, or we're going to multiply 3 times 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. So I really have 9 plus 12 plus 1. 9 plus 12 is 21. 21 plus 1 is 22. So the final answer is 22 for number 25. last one, number 26. It says use the graph. So this is no more PEMDAS on this one. It says use the graph, interpret the y-intercept of the graph. Please write a complete sentence. Okay, so on the final exam, you're going to get a graph. There's going to be some information on the graph, and there's going to be different statements about that graph. So what you guys need to do is read those sentences and see which one actually represents what you see. So right here, I want you to just look at this and tell me what you could say about the y-intercept. Okay, so what could you guys say about the y-intercept?
It increases. It's positive.
Okay, we know that David's saving for a car, and we know that his savings is increasing as what goes by? As time goes by, right? As time goes by, the money that he has increases, right? Now, it's asking for us to write a complete sentence or sentences with regards to the y-intercept of the graph. What is the y-intercept of this graph, guys? What's the y-intercept of the graph?
100. Is it 100? 160? Oh, there we go. Oh, all right.
The y-intercept, ladies and gentlemen, is right here, right? It crosses right there. That's the y-intercept. After all, remember that the y-axis, as you can see right here, that's y. Y points to the sky, right? So when they say, what could you say about the y-intercept in terms of this situation, what do you guys say?
Y points to the sky.
No. Oh, yeah, that's true. Y points to the sky. But what about this particular situation regarding David saving for a car? What could you guys say about this?
That he's been saving money.
Oh, yeah, he's been saving money. But what could you say about this number right here? If it's the y-intercept, and we're talking about David saving money.
That's what he has.
That's what he
Had.
Oh, he earned.
That's what
He's gonna get.
He's willing to pay for it.
that's what
That's his budget.
He needs.
That's
that's
what he needs.
that's what. Come on, guys, somebody.
That's what he wants.
Save
That's what he makes a week.
That's how much he started with.
Ah, por eso.
That's what he had.
Es lo que dije.
That's how much he had.
Okay, so he started his saving. So what could we say about this? You would say David started his savings account with $1,400, and then after that he kept putting in money on a weekly basis, and that's how. But with regards to the y-intercept, the only thing that means is that he started his savings. Maybe he got a bonus at work. Maybe it was I don't know. But he started his savings account with $1,400, and that's what we want to state about this particular y-intercept value. Now, there's going to be something like this on the final. They're going to give you a graph. It's not going to be about David saving for a car. It's going to be about a different situation. You got to understand what you're looking at. Maybe it's time, and maybe it's amount of something else. Maybe it's not money. But you guys need to be able to understand what you're looking at and understand what that y-intercept actually means, and be able to identify what the correct sentence is on your multiple choice options. So let me move on. We're done with this side of the practice test. Let's move on to the final side.